All right. Well, good morning, guys. It's great to see everyone in person and excited to get to spend some time together today for our February Leadership Academy. And happy early Valentine's Day to you guys as we're celebrating the love at some point this week. And really looking forward to getting into our agenda now. So want to kind of give you a quick snapshot on where we are. So last time we were together was our year-end banquet in PDC. Before that was early in January when we were still in the Jamaica Push is the last time we were all together as a group. And so we had talked about then, hey, we're going to be splitting into our 4 different groups that we talked about in August. And so we've officially made that transition at this point. And so now we've communicated, hey, who's on the sales manager, assistant manager path? Who are the people that are running branches and district offices this summer? And who are the people that are doing something other than I don't know if anyone did that, but we got some people that are doing something other than Vector. I'm sure maybe there's 1 or 2 in there. And then the sales rep path, right? So now we've split into those groups. Our spring training has started as of last week, where we've begun our branch and district training on Mondays at 3:30. We've got an assistant manager training that's happening in John's office. It's happening on Mondays. I think you guys are switching the time or something right now, but happening in the local office. In the pilot, it's happening on Mondays at 8:30 to 9:30. There's an assistant manager training. For those that are working on selling, we're hooking people up with mentors and have just come back from things like our net meeting in some cases. So we've are making the progress to where we are. My hope was that at this meeting here I was going to get to announce the official lineup for 2019 of who's running exactly what offices. And I'm so close, right? I'm so close to being to that spot. But I'm not quite there yet. There's 2 last spots that we're working in communication with there of finalizing the last zip codes and territory assignments for that one. So Kevin Garcia, thanks for being patient with me on one of those. And then I'll be able to officially announce, I've got one other piece of the puzzle there, and then we'll be able to announce the final lineup. But here's what I'll share with you is I'm sharing this because not just where we are as a division, which matters to you guys as the team you're a part of, but also a reminder of just the power of setting your intentions and goals. So for those of you guys that have been around, like a Kayla and a David and a Connor, several years ago, I think it's 3 years ago, we started talking about 10 by 10. You guys remember this? Yeah. And do you remember what 10 by 10, what that was in relation to? I put a few of the themes up here in the corner. David?
Having 10 districts and 10 branches.
10 districts and 10 branches, right? So this was several years ago when I think our office count was maybe 9 or 11 total or something like that. And we talked about the goal is to build our division to be 10 districts and 10 branches. And we didn't hit the goal the first year, right? I didn't hit the goal the first year as a division manager. And so we kept talking about it, right? It became a theme that we brought into the next year of 10 by 10. And last year we didn't do it. We were, I think, at 13, 14 last year, and we kept talking about this theme of 10 by 10. Well, I shared, and I've been giving updates. I have to give updates to the company because these go all the way back to the factory, right, of how much Cutco they're producing now so that the sets and product will be ready in the summer when you guys are running offices. Isn't that crazy to think about, right? So I've been giving this projection since the summer. And I said we'll have 17 to 19 offices, and every month I have to give an update to the company and to Earl on our projection. So it wasn't all the way until I was flying to Florida on Tuesday for a Vector East DVM meeting that Al DiLeonardo was hosting with my division manager peers and the region managers and some of our company executives there. So there was about 20-something of us there at this meeting. It wasn't a sucky spot to be, by the way. It was in Fort Lauderdale, right on the beach. The room where we met had floor-to-ceiling windows that went all the way around, so you could see all the way up the beach and all the way down the beach the entire time. They do it on purpose because this is a summer planning meeting for us, so it was gorgeous. It made me excited for Jamaica. And but anyway, on the way, people were submitting their letter of commitments like all the way up until like 2 weekends ago, which is why I'm a little delayed with my deal here, right? And some of those people I had to say, hey, I know you're just submitting your letter of commitment, but for this round, it's a little late, right? We've got to, let's kind of pivot and find a good spot. But it was crazy because everyone was like, man, I really, I had to change your heart. I was scared to write it. Now I want to do it. Please, can you write? And it was, everyone wants a spot right now in DC Metro. And so making some of those last minute executive decisions. Well, as I'm on the plane and I'm finally putting the final pieces together of the territories I've communicated and the couple I haven't, guess what our number of office counts is for 2019? It is 10 by 10. Exactly. And so I wasn't even hung up necessarily on the 10 by 10 exactly, right? I was pretty sure, I thought it was going to be 11 and 9 or something like that, right? And I was pretty sure it was still going to be 20 in total, right? But it wasn't until the final part I was like, oh, 3 years in the making, right? 3 years in the making, this vision of 10 by 10. Now, I'll be honest, it might end up being 21. So anyway, that's still another story, but that's still a positive problem. So either way, I'm sharing this with you guys for a couple of reasons. One is I want to remind you, and I know I've been like kind of sharing this as we go, but DC Metro is the place to be. And not just because of where we are right now, but this has been coming together for the last couple years. And you know, when you're a part of something special, you can just feel the energy, you can feel the culture, you can just tell, and it's almost hard to explain sometimes, right? But you know when you've got it, and you can tell when you don't. Didn't Al talk about something like this at year-end banquet for those of you guys that were there? He's like, you know culture when you're a part of it, right? And you know when you're not. And we always say, hey, this is going to be a great summer, and hey, our team is special, and that's certainly true, right? We don't just say it to say it. It really is for different reasons. But man, this is the place to be right now, and we have more people wanting to run a district and branches than we currently have spots for. It means that as I'm starting to think about 2020, is there's going to be some new territories that are created and things that are divvied up to make it better for everyone. And I'm telling you right now, 2019 is going to be fun, but 2020 might just be one of those years that is lights out, ridiculous. Like when I started even thinking about the branch class for 2020, right? It's like crazy. Like we're going to have a John who's assistant manager in the pilot this summer. Can you imagine this guy by the time next summer comes around? Can you imagine a Samantha as an assistant in the pilot this year? Can you imagine her running a branch next year? Can you imagine a Becky after she has a branch this year under her belt leading in her senior branch class for next year? Can you imagine a James next year once he's got one shot at this thing, what it's like to go round 2, right? We were already joking with Evan. We're like, dude looks like a district manager today, right? We're like, look how freaking sharp you are, right? I don't know. Maybe he's going to be running a district office and finishing school, or he'll be a senior branch, right? I don't know, but it's going to be really exciting when you start thinking about Elijah graduates in December. I don't know what Elijah's going to do, but right, 2020, I'm excited to see what the heck it is. Landon's going to be a sales manager in Anne Arundel County this year. Imagine this guy, all that talent, with another round of training and savings and what that's going to look like. And he's always had the dream of being an entrepreneur, right? Like it's like, man, this is going to be this perfect storm of so many of these things coming together. Connor and David, right? And these, Kevin, they'll be going into their second summer, right? Which is amazing. Kayla, I don't know what Kayla's going to do next year. I hope it's like running the district or running the world, or I don't know what she's going to do. Whatever it is, it's going to be fun after a senior branch experience, after running 2 branches. Can you imagine what that's going to look like? Heather's going to be going into her second summer, getting ready for her second summer this go around. Like, it's just crazy. And then all of our current district managers and all the stuff they're doing, like, it's just, it really is so exciting to think about, like so exciting that even though I was sick and I had an opportunity in Florida to sleep uninterrupted, baby free, I couldn't fall asleep and like woke up before my alarm, right? It's like that's when you know you're just excited about where your organization is going and what we have going on. So even though I can't give you the exact final lineup, what I can tell you is I always thought when I took over as a division manager that we had 18 territories. Well, we're going to be at 20 this go round. And now with all the data that we have and things like text to schedule and all the other sort of things and population numbers growing, I mean, we've got way more than 20 territories available here for sure. But it's going to be fun to see. And remember this conversation because 1 year from now when we're talking about it, right? I don't even know what I'm going to promote yet for next year. I need to like figure that out. Like, what is it? Right? We already did 10 by 10. It's like check. All right. On to the next thing. So we'll have to figure that out. But coming back from the division manager meeting too is we were hearing the best practices of what's going on and what people are doing. And I want to share with you while we did a lot of great things in 2018 is that our opportunity for growth in 2019 as a team is even bigger and better this year. So last year, our branch average in the region was 50 grand. In the division, it was 58 grand. And no disrespect to our branches last year, right? I know we were doing some fantastic things, but we're going to blow that out of the water this go round with our branch class. Our new DM average is going to be exciting. And so a couple of the big ways I see us continuing to grow, right, is not only expanding the size of our team and the quality of our team that we have, but a couple of programs that I think can help us take the next step forward. One of them being is last year we were doing the Facebook Jumpstart program, but we didn't hit it on all cylinders. So we had some of our branches that they didn't start doing this soon enough, and they just didn't build their network as big as they could have for last summer for their messaging. We had some people that did a solid job with this. Like last year, Kayla had over 2,000 plus friends she added to her network last year. She created almost $30,000 in sales last summer just from Facebook Jumpstart, from the work she did there. But even if you talk to Kayla, we had some holes in the plan there still, right? We didn't get all the messages sent. We could have been more strategic about even who we were friending from the beginning. We can get better at this. This can be bigger than it was last year. And we're going to spend some time talking about that today. In fact, David's going to run a workshop with us where we're going to spend some time actually getting a chance to do it. Whether you're assistant, this is a big part of your job this summer is team building, right? And we need you. But we also, this is so valuable for you guys to learn as we move forward with social media presence, recruiting, all the aspects that go into that. Number two, one of the big moves that we're going to make for this summer to build on last year and increase is making a bigger move with PRs, not just being sent to text to schedule, right? Not just using the technology with the app, but really having an aspect where as branches and districts, assistants, where you guys are actually scheduling the PRs. And the reason for that, we have a gazillion things of data on this, but we just schedule more, right? When a human is doing it, we schedule more people. And a lot of times we're also getting our best people. They're not just scheduling through the text, but they need that human touch, right? That personalization that only we can do, right? And so it's really a combination of we're gonna have some staffing, some help this summer. If you're a branch or a new DM, we're gonna hire a couple of receptionists. You're gonna hire a couple of receptionists. So you have a little bit of help that's really someone that works as a recruiting assistant for you, where they're gonna help out with social media. They're gonna help out with contacting and scheduling some PRs. They can help greet some people for interviews, right? So even if you don't have an assistant manager, that you have a recruiting assistant that will hire that can help out with some of those things. Isn't that kind of cool, by the way? This is going to be, I mean, if you just look at this is something in our control that's going to add a ton of recruits and CPO on that front. New district managers, this is exciting because this element is really going to be one of the ones that helps get our recruiting to be bigger and more exciting for this go-round. So there's lots of places that are cased for growth, but this summer we're going to utilize technology, plus we're going to use what we can do with Facebook Jumpstart and with things like PR set in-house, right, in the office between you and some staffing to get it done. So I want to share with you guys this concept of getting a fast start to the summer. Because even though it seems like, oh man, May 1st is like so far away, it's not really when you start doing the math, right? It's like we're already at February 9th, and February is a short month in itself. February 29th, by the way, is my birthday, so if you want to make a quick note, it's not in the calendar this year, so don't try and put it in the date. Only every 4 years. But you can flowers, candy, cards. 28th works, 1st works, whatever you like. I'm just kidding. Babysit. It's actually not that far away, right? We've got a couple of weeks left in February. We've got the month of March, and then region kickoff is at the beginning of April. And then we get into the summer, right? So when you start thinking about the timeline of what we really have going on, so much of getting a fast start to the summer is the groundwork that we're laying right now. It's the foundation that we're laying right now. And so to be the best assistant manager this summer, for those of you guys that are here, and sales managers, is the work you're doing now is really going to be what helps get your office off to a fast start, that helps build your team, that you go into the summer with a squad and a good sales report. If you're a branch or district, so much of your May and June results are really based on what you guys are doing right now. So I wanted to start off today just talking a little bit about what getting a fast start to the summer looks like. What are the things that we can be doing now, affecting now, that will really translate to the beginning of the summer and getting a fast start, just like a sales rep when they launch from training. You want them to explode out of training. What are the reasons we talk about that in training, by the way? Why do we know that's in the best interest of a sales rep that's new with the job and graduating? What do we talk about? Get off to a fast start, David?
Build momentum.
Okay, build momentum. Good. What else? What are some of the other reasons we talk about, Elijah?
Build their own confidence.
Yes. Yeah, because when they get out of the gates and then it's boom, first sale, boom, first promotion, second promotion, third promotion, right? Even if they're brand new, they've never done anything like this before, now they've built their confidence. And that just feels different, right? Your confidence about the job moving forward will forever be different, right? Based on that initial experience. What else do we tell a sales rep out of training? Getting a fast start. Getting a fast start right out of the gates. Momentum, confidence, why else?
Promotion levels.
Yes, promotion levels. Why is that important, Heather?
Because if they have a first big paycheck, then they're more likely to stay.
Yes. By the way, the same is true as a manager, right? When you're out of the gates and you're already making solid paychecks for those first few weeks, could you see how you run interviews a little differently? How you run training differently? You stand a little taller. I don't care if you're an assistant manager, a branch manager, or a division manager. When you get some fatty paychecks right in a row, it just feels good. Cash is confidence. Cash is confidence. I'm at the best as a leader when I have just so much in savings that I don't need this day to be a good sales day, right? I don't need this week to be a good sales week. What I can focus on is what's best for the person, right? Hey, what's best for you? What does this person need right now? And sometimes if that means, hey, moving on and not doing this, I can be okay with that, right? I can be okay with that and coach someone to really what they need right now. And so when you are getting started this summer as an assistant, as a branch, or your conviction, your belief, your confidence is in a different spot when you're standing on a big pile of cash, right? And certainly money's not the most important thing in the world, but it certainly helps. As a business owner, it just makes sense too, right? Hey, can I get some cash flow early, some revenue early, and even reinvesting that back in your business? Things are cranking. It's like, you know what? Let me hire one more PR caller, right? Hey, let me hire one more person because we can be doing more. Hey, I've got a little extra. I know the return on investment's good. Hey, let me put out a little more advertising, right? Or spend a little more money here because it's really building. It gives you more options. Good. What else do we talk about for a rep? Getting off to a fast start. What else happens when they're getting off to a fast start? Evan?
It gets the jitters out.
Yeah. Yeah, it gets the jitters out, right? When you can get a fast start right away, you can start getting good. So that's a big part. Hey, if I can run my first training in late April or early May and just get my training jitters out when it's nice and, maybe smaller before things get super crazy, I get to get some of the mistakes out from the start. I get to get some of the jitters out right away. I can kind of work on my skill set a little bit and get better. As a branch, you guys are going to see this summer that right when you're starting to get good at training, it's like July. And then you transition and make it 50%, right, for the rest of the summer. That's why most people see in your branch, because you're like, I just started getting it. I just got good at training. I just got my jitters out. I just got my groove. And so then you're like, I got to do that again, right? Now knowing what I know now, it's going to be different. So good. What else do we talk about? Getting a fast start for sales reps right out of training. What else does it build for them? Confidence, income, of course, momentum. What else? It's like the most important part of the job. When they graduate, what do they start building?
Resume.
Okay, resumes. What else? What else? Yeah, they're building their recommendations. Now, resume too. It counts. So when you're a branch or a district or assistant and you're getting off to a fast start, you're not building clients to necessarily show Cutco to, but what are you building? What's similar to that? PRs, absolutely. So when you're getting off to a fast start at the beginning, now you're collecting more PRs, and now that's replicating and building. It's snowballing. You guys see that? Just like when you're a Cutco rep, hey, you get off to a fast start, you do 10 demos your first weekend, 15 demos your first weekend, you're getting 10, 15 recs from each one. Well, now you've got 100 or 200 new clients to see. Hey, when you're building those first interviews and those first trainings as a DM, as a branch this summer, and you launch 5 people and you're collecting 150, 200 names per person, boom, things have just snowballed quickly. Do you guys see that too? So it also allows that to happen. We could keep going, but the same reasons we coach someone to get off to a fast start leaving training is the same reason we talk about getting a fast start to your Cutco summer. I want you guys to help me out. I want you to take a couple minutes and I want you to brainstorm as an assistant, as a branch, or a district this summer. When you think about getting off to a fast start to the summer, what things would help you get things going right away as an office owner, as an assistant manager, as a sales manager? What are some of the things that would give you more of a runway, help you to get a faster start? You can think about this same question from a different perspective here too, right? You could say, hey, what would be things if I didn't do or I didn't have done that would hold me back, right? What would be the things that would slow up my start to the summer if I didn't do this? So I want you to think about getting a fast start to the summer. What are some of the ways that you can pull the summer forward? Getting a fast start is I think about how do you get 50 people set for your first day or two of interviews? How do you have 20 or more set for your very first training seminar, right? How do you launch double digits, 10 plus people onto your team, your first training, right, or more? What are some of the logistics that would just make it easier to make sure you're teed up to get a fast start to the summer? We have to take a couple minutes to brainstorm a list on what that looks like. What's it look like to get a fast start to the summer? What are some of the things you could be doing to help pull the summer forward, to explode into the summer? Some of these are things that you're even doing potentially in February and March, right? That allow you to really focus and put your energy into your team and building your squad. Let's share a couple ideas. What's one idea that you have when you think about getting a fast start to the summer, pulling things forward? Kayla, what does that look like?
Actually doing Facebook Jump Start.
Okay, and so what do you mean by that?
So, like, for the people that have, like, that know their territories and stuff, like, actually, like, friending and stuff, like, starting that.
Cool. So one would be just utilizing the Facebook Jumpstart program, right? And doing the friending, liking the content, staying up on the lessons, being ready so you've got this network teed up so that when we're ready to message in April and May, that it's like you got it organized, you're ready to go on this thing, and you've got some of the best people in your entire network that this has been a building, and boom, those messages go out, and it's gonna be exciting, right? So we'll talk about that program a little bit today, but I would absolutely agree that helps to a fast start to the summer. Good. Cutter, what about for you? Fast start to the summer.
Thinking about PRs from other candidates, like just to start off the summer.
What do you mean by that?
So I know that we did a lot of like candidate PRs during the winter break.
Yeah.
Us, like, have a great winter break. But there's tons of people that we know from school and other places that are going to be in these territories that haven't been explored throughout a winter or summer because we're creating these new territories that haven't been around.
Yeah.
People live there. We have friends from there.
Love that.
I think that's a great way.
I love that. So this could be even people that, like, can you really explore your network and see who knows someone that's living in blank, right? Who do you go to school with that might be from that area? Who are friends of your family or friends of friends that know people there? And when you're really at your best, you're asking those questions all the time, right? Hey, by the way, who do you know that lives in blank? Hey, who do you know that's from blank, right? And you're constantly asking that and building that. It might even look like people that are like on the current team that you're asking, like, hey, who do you know that lives in blank or goes to blank? It might be like your own network, right? So your network of people. It might even be like, hey, let's access the old PR lists from that territory that we have saved on Vector Live and reaching out to some of those people in February and March about summer work opportunities. Hey, we don't have to get all of them, right? But what if we get one or two extra people that really make a big difference for the summer and can help you get things started? There was a guy named Chipper Jones that worked in my district office, not the baseball player, but he was someone that sold Cutco the previous summer. He only sold like 10 grand around or 20 grand around like vacations and stuff like that. But hey, reached out to him, hadn't been in contact with him over the fall or the spring. Reached out and we're like, hey, you want to come in and talk about how you can make a little money this summer? Came in, got super excited, ended up winning a scholarship, being in the top 10, sold $67,000 that summer, and sold $36,000 for the SC2 push. I'm certainly glad, right, we reached out to that person that was like on an old list, right, but would be an example. I love that idea, Connor. David, I saw your hand up too. Fast start to the summer.
Yeah, I wrote for myself, like, having double-digit set for training before I enroll my in-office, my first in-office interview.
I love that. I'm going to add this because I just threw this up here too. When I mentioned like past reps, we'll have a list from your territory of people that are over $3,000 that you could reach out to that were previous reps. And then David, I love this too. So it sounds like you're talking about using the remote interview to interview people before you actually even get in your office to run your first in-office interview. So utilizing the remote interview, and the cool thing is you can do this even when you're away at school. You can do this as an assistant manager, help build your team to add extra interviews. You can be doing this as a branch, as a district, before your office lease even starts. I love that idea. Good. What else when you think about a fast start to the summer? Kevin?
Campus recruiting.
Great. I love that. Absolutely. So utilizing campus recruiting. And you could actually even start this now. In many cases, our district managers have started doing high school visits. And we have a whole program for this. There's a script on what to say. There's a folder on what to take with you. So you don't even have to like come up with what to do. But to start, you can even start now stopping by your high schools and doing our high school program. And being able to work with their seniors by the time you get to April and May so that they can do things like send out an email blast to all the seniors and their parents about the work opportunity. Isn't that kind of cool? Can you imagine if you already have like 4, 5, 6 high schools teed up that they're ready to just send an email because you've already met with them, and you're like, hey, in April I'll send you the, or I'll stop back in, and we can just send it off together, and like with a couple clicks, boom, you sent that out to 400-person graduating class. And you do that a few times. Can 2,000 plus people, by the way, for free, get your advertising in some of your best schools? How fun is that? College campuses can be another one, right? So you've got high school options, but also for your colleges, community colleges. By the way, even if you're not open yet, you can go visit your community colleges or schools in your area. Hey, I just wanted to introduce myself. By the way, there's a script for that too. And there's a program on what to say if you want to stop by and visit your college campuses in your area. Great, I love that idea. Great idea, Kevin. Other thoughts? How else do you get a fast start to the summer? Elijah?
One of the things I put down was actually getting out as early to the first week of the summer as possible.
Yes, what do you mean by that?
So for, going specifically, we're still in school, being able to, right after the kickoff starts and gets out, being able to actually be in office like maybe week 1.
Yes. So can you tell us a little more about that, Elijah?
So, May week 1 is usually like that first week of May where the summer officially starts. But like last summer for me, I didn't actually get out of class until May 15th. This year I actually get out of class on May 22nd. So being able to actually be in office that first week of May helps you start building that early momentum so that the first week you can kind of stumble a little bit while you start to figure everything out, but then still have the rest of May to kind of start kicking everything off and then have June and July be even popping.
By the way, whether you're an assistant, a branch, or a DM, this can be big. So tell us what you learned, because I know you did this last year, right? And I remember saying in a prep like this one, hey, talk to your professors now and get out of finals May 1st, right? Be out of finals so you can be in your office by May 1st. So the reason that's the timeline is because when do college students finish their finals? Most college students finish their finals. Like if you're in school now, when do you finish? 22nd, what was that? Second week of May, God bless you. So it depends on the school, right? But like typically like Carolinas, some of the Florida schools, Virginia schools, they usually get out like early May. So they're usually finished like May 8th, May 10th, something like that. And then you've got some schools, like typically your community colleges finish like the second week of May, like around the 14th, 15th, somewhere in that range. And then Maryland schools, like the Towson, the University of Maryland, they usually finish like the 22nd, 23rd, like somewhere in that range, okay? So imagine if all your Florida kids, North Carolina kids, Virginia kids, they get home like the 7th or 8th of May. But you don't even get to your office until like the 15th. And then you're getting set up and you're getting started. What have they done in those like 2 to 3 weeks by the time you're like ready? They've already found a job, right? They've already probably found something because they've already been home for 2 or 3 weeks. Their parents are killing them that they don't already have something lined up. You guys see that? So what happens is if you don't get out of finals till all the other college students get out of finals, you will miss interviewing and training all the other college kids. Now, it doesn't mean you won't have a good summer because you can still interview like the high school kids that graduate at the beginning of June, but you'll miss half of your recruits. Do you guys see what I'm saying? You'll miss half of your opportunity of people that are looking for work. Elijah learned that one the hard way, but it sounds like he's making adjustments for this go-round, right? So one of the things that you're going to see in your Dropbox folder today is there's a letter that you would need to edit to make it your own, right? But that you can give to your professors, and you want to start talking to them now in February about your opportunity that you have this summer. How do you think a professor will react, by the way, when you share what you're actually doing this summer? Hey, by the way, Dr. So-and-so, I wanted to sit down with you for a few minutes, and you can schedule an in-office time. Hey, I wanted to share with you my opportunity for this summer, and I was hoping that we could work together on how to maximize my opportunity I have. And then explain to them what you're doing. So I've been selected as a district manager when I graduate, and this is going to be my first career position, right? Or, hey, while I'm on break for school, I'm going to be a branch manager this summer with a $250 million marketing company. So I've been training, for the last 8 months or for the last year, whatever it is since you started. Hey, I've been training for the last 8 months through their leadership training program. And I've been one of only, 13 people selected in the whole Tri-State Plus area where I'm going to have the opportunity to be an entrepreneur this summer. I'm going to run a mini location, essentially my own franchise within the company. I'm going to be doing my own interviewing, hiring, training, negotiating an office lease. I'll have my own space where I'm doing all that. My goal is to turn a profit in 4 months. I've got a business plan that I'm working on set up. Can you imagine just explaining what you're doing and they're going to be like, holy, right? So you need to explain how freaking cool this thing is that you're doing, how exciting it is, and share with them, hey, one of the things I'm doing is I'm going to be interviewing and training college students like myself for the entry-level position that I did last year. And so in order to really maximize that, I need to be able to get to my office, my franchise, before the other students finish exams. And so I know our exam is scheduled for May 11th. I was hoping that we could work together, that I can work ahead of pace on your syllabus and still complete the work that you need me to, and I want to make sure I get a great grade. But I was hoping we could work together so that I can really be one of your lead students on this and be ahead of the curve. And two is that I can really crush it with what I'm doing this summer, right? And this is impromptu, but you guys get the gist that there's probably a little more to it, and we can talk about that. But seeing what the options are. So I did this all 4 years while I was in school. So I was in school in the Carolinas, and for my role as an assistant manager and pilot manager for the next 3 summers is I needed to be back so I could help build the summer. So all of those years, and then I was graduating, so I took my exams early so I could open my office as a district. So all 4 years, I did this all 4 times. And my last, from my sophomore, my junior, and my senior year, I took 18 credit hours every semester to be able to graduate on time with a double major, right? So it was always 6 classes, 6 different professors of people that I had this conversation with going forward. And every single one I was able to work out something with. And because I was creating value, right, and I wanted to work with them and did a great job, and I talked to them early, so it wasn't last minute, right? Hey, in April I was mentioning this that came up. And so I just made sure I did what I needed to, and there was a few different options. For some of them, I was like, hey, a few different things that people in my position have done that have had an opportunity like this one. One is some people is, hey, when they get towards the end of the semester before May 1st, if they're acing everything in the class, their grade's really good, the professor will leave it there and let them go, run their office and do a great job. Some people have just had me do the work early, right? So submitting, whether it's final projects or papers, and just submitting it and moving up the deadline so I can submit it to you beforehand. Other people just use the, if my test scores, my exam scores are good leading up to it, they'll just use the average of those as my final exam. Some of them I've taken the final exam early, or taken the last exam and then I take the final immediately afterwards, right? The same day. In some cases, I've done the alternative assignment. So in lieu of doing the final exam, May 22nd, is I could do a alternative project, presentation, paper, whatever it is that you want me to do instead. There's a gazillion answers, right? But the point is just meeting with them earlier, really building value in what you're doing and letting them see how exciting it is. Their job as a professor, part of their rating as a university is how well their students do afterwards. Their donations are based on how well their alumni is doing. Does that make sense? So you being able to get this experience, making sure you're building value for that. But how early you're able to help and get back to your office will be a factor in the runway that you get to the summer. Can you guys see that? If you're not getting started until almost June, well, you missed a month of your short opportunity. You guys see what I'm saying there? So that certainly plays. I'm so glad you mentioned that one, Elijah, because that's a great point of being able to get a fast start to the summer. Good. Any questions on that before we move forward? We can talk more about it during the breaks and stuff too, but David?
Not really a question, but if you haven't brought it up with the teachers, I know Kate mentioned it, the sooner the better.
Yep, that'll be one of our action list items, and your district still be following up with you guys on that one because that's going to be, oh, you'll feel so much better too when you've already got that like locked up and ready to roll. Good. Fast start to the summer. Anything else that's on your list there? Kevin, another idea? Ooh, love that. Yeah, so you can even do other advertising. I'm going to help. I'll design it and help you guys order it and all that sort of stuff on what to do. But certainly that could be something that you do ahead of time. David, fast start to the summer.
Yeah, getting your office lease.
Yes.
Finalized as soon as possible.
I had that one too. In fact, we're going to talk about office shopping today. But having your your office space solidified, and you guys are going to help out with playing a role for that. So making sure that we've got lots of good leads that we can work from. We're going to talk about that. John's going to walk you guys through that today. And our goal this year is by the time we get to region kickoff at the beginning of April, that every person here has your lease solidified. If not, it's like really close, right? And we're like in the works. We're just doing a couple little fine tuning on your lease there. So we'll talk about that today is on the agenda because in February and March, we're going to be working to get these things locked up and ready to go. Good, Connor?
Kind of hand in hand with that one, just like having your office set up, like when you're starting,
Yep.
Furniture, posters, everything set up. You're not like still scrambling to move things in while you're running your first interview.
Yeah, and the moving in's usually easy. The thing you guys can even start doing now, though, is like the collection of stuff, right? So even just having everything like teed up and ready to go. So some of the posters and that like we'll already have for you in a pre-pack. But obviously you can collect some of your own stuff too. And most of the time this stuff is free on like Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist. And, you can get stuff to put on the wall there. Looking around from home or getting stuff there. Things like desks and chairs. This stuff is for free all the time on places like Craigslist, or there might even be some in your basement or grandma's basement or neighbors or schools that are donating stuff because they've got new stuff coming in, churches, right? There's so many ideas, but like, can you start having that stuff now in February and March so that you don't have to think about it or worry about it in May, and you can just focus on building your team, right? So if you're an assistant, it might not look like chairs and desks, but can you make sure the office is set up? Are there things that, we always do like a spring cleaning? Even for Landon and for Nick, you guys looking at your office, hey, is this the most recruiting friendly it could possibly be? What changes and upgrades do we need to make to the office now so it's ready to go? Think about in the pilot, right? Hey, what are some of the things that changes we need to make? Last summer, Connor was the one who was like, we need pictures, right? We need more pictures. And making those changes so that people can see what it's like to be on the team, right? Hey, do we need to make a key staff wall or people can see what schools they're from and, what that looks like? And this is the time that you want to start doing those things. We could keep going, guys, but I think that this is a pretty good list here, at least to get started. And so many of these things are things we can be doing now before it's actually even May 1st. In fact, the foundation of doing these now, right? I remember my manager always teaching me when I was coming up in the business is that 1 hour now is worth like a day in the summer. So like using an hour now is so valuable because it frees up so much time in the summer when it's, hey, your money making's at the best, where, everyone's looking for a summer job and you want to be able to focus on what really is going to build your business, not looking for a desk on Craigslist. You guys with me? You'll notice that most of our topics now are going to be focused on getting this fast start to the summer. So today on our agenda, I'll pass this around. But we're going to be talking about things like office shopping, right? What can you do starting now to affect that so you're ready to go? And then I'll have, Evan, if you can pass this back to the second row there. And this one will be for yours. Any extras you can leave on the ends there. But we're going to talk about, hey, how to office shop now to help get off to a fast start. I'm going to talk about recruiting obsession. How do you make sure you build your team earlier? Building your network, we're going to spend some time on, since Facebook Jumpstart is one of the components of getting a fast start to the summer. Drill for skill. We're going to be working on the interview. That's certainly a big way to build your summer from the start there. And things like school dates, which is going to tie into your advertising, knowing your high schools and your colleges, that you can even start working with them now. So we'll be looking at that together. Thank you. So let's talk about what's next. What are the things and where do we need to focus for the rest of the spring? Well, the first place we need to focus is, of course, I've got to give you a Carter update. And the latest Carter update on is she is standing up on everything now. I think she's going to be walking like any day. I'm like ready for it to happen. She's starting to like do the stand up in the middle of the room thing, even though she's like, she got her first black eye. So that's what happens when she tries to stand on everything, like falls in everything, and she got a little shiner. So, but she's like, yeah, she's like pulled up on everything, standing on everything. While I was getting ready this morning, she stood and like watched me the whole entire time, getting ready. So, this is at school. She's drawing with crayons. Like, oh my gosh, my baby's getting so big. Yeah. So, and she got her first tooth. So that's big news. Yeah, it's not like all the way popped up yet, but it's like in where you can see it and like you can feel that it's like sharp and her little like teeth. Yeah, so it's cool. So she's living the dream. So let's talk about what's next and how do we continue. If you guys remember, I shared this with you guys at our last January meeting, right? We talked about where we're going from there, our December meeting, and then January. So here's where we are now, February. The main focus for February is going to be social media friending. We're going to work on getting our high school and college information and starting doing getting your leads together for office shopping. In March is where we'll actually go visit the spaces, right? So we'll do the legwork in February, visit the spaces, and work on solidifying those in March. In April, this is where ideally you're finishing up finals. If you're in school, you're going to start doing those remote interviews like David talked about. We'll have our our summer kickoff in April. And in May, this is where we hit the ground running with our summertime. So what do you need to be learning during spring training? I've been sharing this throughout Leadership Academy, but I want to remind you of what the 5 things look like that you need to know. And whether you're assistant manager, district manager, or branch manager, these are really the focus 5 to work on. Number 1 is advertising. And that includes advertising through Facebook Jumpstart, advertising through campus like Kevin mentioned, both your high schools and your colleges, advertising through things like road signs, Kevin, that you mentioned. None of these things are difficult to do, right? But Facebook Jumpstart is certainly a delayed gratification one, right? We're doing the legwork, you're building it, you really aren't seeing the CPO, the recruits, the benefits until we start messaging in April and May. Number 2 is PR program. This spring, you need to make sure that you're really good at the PR program. That includes you scheduling PRs yourself. Whether you're an assistant, branch, or district, this is going to be part of your schedule. This is going to be a big part of our success this summer, is your ability to personally schedule PRs this summer. If you're an assistant manager, working on a list of PRs, similar to what you did over winter break. But there were people that you had on your winter break list that they just didn't want to work over the winter break, or they were only home for a couple days. But every college student, recent graduate is looking for summer work. Every college student, recent graduate is looking for summer work. So even as assistants, that means coming up with your own list, right? Of working on a list of people that you can recommend for the job that we can personally reach out to as your managers, 3-way text, right? Some of those things that we were doing over winter break. Number 3 is the training seminar. If you're assistant or a sales manager, you need to know how to support the training seminar with your district or branch. And if you're a district manager or branch manager, right, running the training seminar. You could already do it now. It's just teaching someone to do what you already do. But we talked about how many talks are there, how many sections of training are there that you need to be familiar with. 6, the big 6, right? There's big 6 talks between now and May that you need to have scripted, bulleted, that you're familiar with. Let's review those again. What are those big 6 talks of training? On day 1, they're what? Intro talk and names list. Very good. Day 2 of training is what? I know some of you guys run a 2-day training, so I'm kind of like being tricky on this one. I guess I should say, what are the big 6 talks in order? So intro talk, names list talk. Value, right? Like the value competitive cutlery talk. Good. What else? Before that is the scheduling talk. Very good. Then they need to know how to drop down. Very good. And lastly, PR talk, right? Very good. So those are the big 6 talks that we need to know and be familiar with. Next, number 4 is the Fast Start program. We need to know how to coach someone in their Fast Start. How do we make sure they graduate training with 10 plus demos ahead of them? You know, a Fast Start PC where we're expanding their names list talk. Some of the basics there, right? And lastly is demo management. How to create demos over PDI, how to drive a phone jam, event attendance, right? Because that's where they're going to schedule the majority of their appointments. Those are the 5 things. If you're advanced, right, like these are some of the things that we're talking about here. Campus and Facebook, name collection, triple threat, that's another good one too, especially if you're an assistant. You know, do you know, can you have people posting on social media when they're coming in? Very good. So during your spring training, I know we have our Monday calls for the DMs and for the branches. Assistants, you guys are going to be working on your topics too on your weekly sessions. But don't just limit yourself to those weekly calls. You know, the top people, they're going to be working on this stuff in their office if they're local. They're going to be working on this, you know, on Vector Connect, listening to some of these talks. And they're hungry to get good, especially at these top 5 things. And so don't hold yourself back to that weekly session, but really working on it. So a few reminders. We've got the last couple checkpoints during the spring for your savings. So last checkpoint was at year-end banquet to be at $1,500. Our February prep today is to be at $1,750 to be on pace, and by March is to be at $2,000. So why is $2,000 by March? Why is that one of the checkpoints? Any guess? Why is it March, not May? Heather, you know?
That's when you want to have your lease solidified and you want to be able to put down your deposit.
Exactly, yeah. So you want to make sure you've got your savings in order because that's when we're actually executing the lease, right? So signing it, security deposit, first month's rent. So you need your savings so that we can do that, right, by March. Good. Why else is March the checkpoint on that one? Anyone else know? Senior branches, why is March a checkpoint? What does your division manager do during that time? You guys remember? David? Yes, so I order mailers. So I order your advertising, the letters that get sent to your college students and high school graduates. And so depending how much money you have in savings determines how much advertising I do for your mailers. So if you're at the minimum of $2,000 in savings, I send the minimum amount of mailers that you can send, only what the company sponsors. Now, if you have more in your savings, what does that allow you to do? Yeah, we can do more advertising to your best people. Do you guys see that? So if you're someone where you're like, oh, I've got my own savings to the side, I just haven't put it in here yet, between now and mid-March, that's the time you want to do it because that's where I'll be placing those advertising orders and making those decisions. So my deadline is by mid-March to enter those. So if you're like, ooh, I don't want to send minimum advertising, I want to do more than that. Well, now to mid-March is where you should increase your savings, okay? So those are the 2 reasons. Heather's exactly right. That's where your security deposit and first month's rent are happening. And 2 is that's where we're making advertising decisions, right? So we can go bigger on that one. And for our top candidates, February prep is $7,500, and by March is to be in over $10,000 if you want to be on top candidate pace. Spring syllabus, we've already covered this a couple times, but Mondays at 3:30 we've got our go-to-meeting. Just a reminder, our next monthly session will be March 16th, so you want to make sure you make that note into your schedule. Towson office, 11 to 5. That'll be both for branches, districts, and for our assistant managers. Assistant managers will have a separate breakout for you during a couple talks today. In March, we'll have a separate breakout for you there. And then April 12th and 13th is where we'll have our region summer kickoff. So making sure you guys make a note there. And then I'll do one-on-one planning sessions, and that's where we'll review our individual business plans with you guys. You'll each do that with me one-on-one. Beautiful. I put together a February checklist for you, and this is in your Dropbox link that I shared there as well. But here are the next checkpoints that we have as we go through our spring training. First thing is Facebook Jumpstart. We already covered lesson 1, which is perfecting your profile. And we said that your profile should be finished by Monday when we check those together. I know David's going to be looking at a couple of these today, I believe. Here are the friending checkpoints. March 1st is to have 500 people added to your network in your current market, right, where you're going to be running an office this summer. So if you're running an office in Montgomery County, or you're part of the assistant manager group, is having 500 new friends of your best people from your best schools added to your network by March 1st. By March 15th is 1,000. By April 1st is 1,500. And by April 15th is 2,000. Obviously, those aren't the maximums. I know our top people like David and Kayla and some of the people have done this before, or you just want to be a competitive branch or district. You should go beyond that, right? That's certainly not the limit, but those are the checkpoints that we'll be requiring and checking on as we go. Number 2 is skill set, those focus 5 that we just covered, right? Advertising, PR program, training, fast start program, and demo management. Working on those in your local office or on video as you guys are working on your skill set. Next are school dates. Colin's going to cover this today, how to do this, but this is going to help you to know all your high schools in your area, all your colleges in your area. Know which ones are your best ones, colleges and high schools, your best markets, and we're also going to show you how to enter your dates, so your graduation dates and finals dates in here, and we'll show you what we use those dates for down the road. John's going to cover office shopping today, and your leads are going to be due by February 23rd. And so you can look up those online. He'll show you how to do that, and obviously going to your territory and looking those up. The more leads, the better. John will cover that as well. And then, like Elijah mentioned, is getting out of finals early. So meeting one-on-one with your professors now so you can finish exams by May 1st. And bonus is to start collecting some of your office supplies, like Connor mentioned just a little while ago. So that's what we really have on tap between now and our next prep in March, and then again when we meet in April for region kickoff. So we've done this a gazillion times. It's normal to be like, oh man, that's a lot of stuff, right? No big deal. We're going to go step by step by step. So we're going to work on the first checkpoint, then we're going to work on the next checkpoint, then we're going to the next checkpoint. The reason I'm sharing this with you is for those of you guys that want to go ahead of pace. For those of you guys that want to start working on the next thing, that you can, and I'm not holding you back, okay? So we'll keep walking you through week by week. Check it off the list, check it off the list, check it off the list. We've done this so many times. We'll make sure that you're good to go. But if you're someone that wants to work ahead, you're excited, you want to, be ahead of the game, absolutely, no holding you back. These are the next couple things that are going on. All right? So your districts and myself will keep working with you week by week to make sure we're on pace for that. But wanted to make sure I give you what we're focused on for your spring checklist here. All right. Well, with that being said, you'll see our agenda ties into this perfectly today. So the next thing we have up for today is I'm going to turn things over to Kayla. She's going to be our MC, and she'll bring up our next speaker. We've got one more section, and then we're going to take a lunch break, okay? So we've got one more topic for today. I'll turn things over to Miss Kayla Harris here, Senior Branch, who, as I mentioned before, created over 30 grand in Facebook business. I know she's going to probably be contributing to that message as well today. I'm excited to hear. And I'll turn things over. She brings up our next speaker, Mr. John Godwin. Awesome.